right. Welcome everyone to the next league Megadraft. This is an exciting one today. You have me, Miranda Black Canary, on commentary with Lotte, a very brand new commentating team, but we're really excited to be here.
Yeah, very much looking forward to it. And you can already see on the screen that Dirk, our future director, has, I think, quite decent knowledge.
I like his text in chat already of LOL, easy dub. I know I was talking to Dirk a little bit before the mega draft, giving him some advice and everything. And he said he had looked at the past sets, looked at what had been good across the sets, tried to find some good color pairs that would synergize since this draft format is one of each of the last six sets, going in reverse order from newest to oldest. So we're going to start out with Aether Drift, and we go back through OTJ, um,
Yeah,
which, even though the league did not have the bonus sheet, these packs will, so there is some chance of seeing some insane cards in here. But overall, it will be the cards they played with in the league. And in his analysis, Dirk said he would love to be green. Yeah, so, easy start.
yeah, I can definitely see that. For what's worth, we're going up to MKN.
Okay,
So
perfect.
MJ will be the fifth pack.
Great.
Okay, looks like Dirk is he picked up like a green bomb for his first pick, and now he is deciding between a rat card in House quite heavy that's very good in the 8 format, and a good removal spell in Gallant Strike. The Sky Serpent Seeker, flying death charge with an
And
value ability is also like looking at me a little bit when you
yeah,
think about that.
definitely something I have my eyes on that Seeker, especially after that green first pick. I would be curious what the person next to him, Chris D, I believe that's Stereolab, picked that wasn't the Howlers Heavy. I will say that in Dirk's analysis, red did seem to be one of the lowest colors, if not the lowest. But obviously, taking rares to begin with, never a problem. Um, Very curious how two people passed this big card draw, man. I think in a
Yeah, no,
60 card format like we have, these sort of value cards can be huge swings.
for sure. I imagine that there must have been one or two other very good rares
Mm-hmm.
in there, especially when you already have like such a bomb like the Gonzar, having a great card draw spell to get you there is very much welcome.
I
So I
he
imagine you must be feeling quite good with the start of his draft, having picked up
mm,
three good rares in college.
agreed. Although he might end up regretting not taking that seeker, uh,
Yeah,
having seen
I
this.
mean,
But I don't think he was wrong in his pick by any means. I think taking powerful cards to start the draft and see what ends up being open is a great mega draft strategy.
for sure. And to be fair, he's so much more open now than if
Mm-hmm.
he had taken the
So
Seeker.
true.
Um, if he had taken the Seeker, he'd like almost pigeonhole himself in green, blue, and now he can, well, any color pair with white, black, he has one or two very good cards for that.
Agreed. I do think in mega drafts you want to be sure to stay open as long as you can, maybe even more than you might in a normal draft, like deep into pick two, even start of pick pack three. You might end up switching if you start seeing a color open some really good bombs, things like that. Like as open as you can stay tends to end well.
Yes. So Dirk is looking at the engine red here, his first black card. What do you think about
Interesting.
that?
I think in his defense, there's no good green cards. I think we can definitely notice that there's a chance the color balance in these packs just was not very good because, as we know, play boosters are not color balanced really. So maybe there just haven't been a lot of green cards, but maybe green is getting picked very heavily. From what we can see, we're not seeing a lot of green coming his way quite yet. And I was not excited by any of those blue or red cards. Um, Engine Rat, I think, perfectly good. Uh, and I don't think he had a ton of better options in the pack, so getting a Mana Sink, never a bad call in this format.
Yeah, and now he's picking up a trip up, so that's a blue card over there. I think I personally would have picked the King Buccaneer. last pick, but I think it's pretty marginal overall, I would say.
Agreed. And I do think if you're going to end up in blue green, which he has a chance of doing, uh, you're not going to have as much removal open to you. You can splash for some, of course, but there's not that many options in blue green typically. So taking interaction while you can is never a bad idea. But as you can see, he's very excited about this gunner pick, and he has every right to be.
Absolutely. It does feel to me that we haven't really seen any green. There's no green card at all in this
Mm-hmm.
pack, and some of blue, so he might be moving away from the Gunnistar. We'll see. We'll have to see. There's also the Trail Seeker, which is a good red black upcommon, which makes me think that people with blacks are probably not in red black specifically.
Agreed. Um, I know those are probably some of the two weakest colors in this set of six packs. Doesn't mean it's not viable. I just don't think it's a super support color pair, so I understand. But I am a bit surprised to see it this late because on its own, it is quite a good card.
For sure. Oh, I love the pick from Dirk. They're taking Kylorna, the 08 for 2.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like a great card in general, but it can be good, very good in a sideboard situation. And one of the things with the Megadraft is, of course, that you have more picks, so more opportunities to pick up some sideboard cards for marginal situations.
Couldn't agree more. That was definitely something I emphasized Dirk right at the end as last minute advice is that in this format, even though you are playing 60 cards, with six packs, you do end up with a lot of cards available to you. So you don't need to take these sort of marginal whatever three drops if there's a really good sideboard card available to you because being able to tech your deck is so valuable and you should be able to fill your main deck with perfectly good cards no matter what.
Sure.
So I also love that nice defensive pick.
So right now, as we're like exiting the first bit or the first pack, like in the Dirk's deck is well mostly looking like a pile of cards, some of which are very good and some of which are so-so. Um, what do
Agreed.
you think about the Iron Knights here of the Hell Rides?
Um it's a good question. I'm I agree that he's mostly just got cards right now. Obviously the Rex looking a little lonely. But he's left himself open. He will have powerful cards no matter where he ends up, so not a terrible place to be. He doesn't have any black cards yet, so I understand not wanting to take the Hell Rider. It's not that powerful for a gold card. Um, but I also don't know that the Ironclad really gets played in most decks.
I think so. I mean, technically he has the engine red. He doesn't really much of a
True.
pull in his hand, I don't think. Alright, what do we
Ooh.
have here in the Foundations pack?
Two rares I am not excited to see. Interesting. He's highlighting Refute first. Seems like he really thinks he's going to be blue, even though he only has the one blue rare that I'm like super excited about. I might be tempted by this Burst Lightning just as nice removal, and I like his red so far. He's also now thinking about the land, which is an interesting point of that if he wants to play the Rex, it could just be a splash if you only ever really cycle it, even if he doesn't end up green. What would you go for here?
Sure. Well, the Refuse was the card that jumped out to me first. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I love that card. I think it's also good in a Megadraft context where there are more bombs running around and so counter spells go up. But I think you're probably right that Burst Lightning is like a little bit better, probably a little bit more flexible. But I think it's pretty close.
I agree, and I think both get played if you end up that color. Like they are both great picks, and if he is leaning that he would like to be blue, then I totally understand going with the refute first. I just, of course, lean. Any removal I can take, I do, and I lean a bit more red than blue, but that's just personal preference.
Total sense.
Wow,
What
already not a super exciting pack. um,
Honestly, I would be decently happy just picking Soulstone Sanctuary here. I find the card to be pretty good in Foundation of Limited, and if you're in a two-color deck, you can probably squeeze a color blend in.
It's interesting he seems to be looking at the Dazzling Angel despite not having a lot of white, or Thespian despite not seeing a lot of green. Maybe trying to force his way into green still, and not looking at the stab, even though he does have the engine rat and everything,
Yeah.
which is
I
another
do
card that I
think
love from this set.
if you don't go for the secondary here, I think Zetkian is a good choice. Like I think that's just like a solid two drop
Mm-hmm.
in that green deck. Um, green might be open from the left or from the right, I should say. Pretty
Mm-hmm.
clearly wasn't open from the left pack, so you still might have three packs there. But he
It's
goes
true. You can
with
maybe force your way in going in this direction, especially now that we're seeing a snare spinner in this pack. I also wonder if he thinks he's very likely to end up with two colors in his flash or three colors, and so didn't want to take the colorless land because he wasn't sure his mana base could handle it, especially because we haven't seen a lot of fixing so far. But
it. Makes total sense. What do you think about his uh, hovering over the joust through 3 damage to attack and blocking plus 1 life? It works with the angel, but he went with I'm very happy
with
to see it.
snare
He
spinner,
went with
yeah, that is what I would have thought he would have leaned towards for the snare spinner. I also would have thought he would have gone for the thespian last pick. I think it's hard after how cut green was in pack one to really know. I don't really think this giant is a reason to be green. I personally would still be looking at this hero's downfall as a removal spell I love. Um, but it is just fancy murder at the end of the day.
yeah. But now, like I do now, with think that Dirk would have liked to fix the stab earlier and not
Mm-hmm.
follow it up with Hero's Downfall. But
Agreed.
he
Definitely a
takes
path that
green
he could have
card,
gone
really
down.
hoping to play the bonus card. Oh, and now there's
Ooh.
another pretty good black card
He,
here.
and Angel of Finality, which he's looking at. These are not his colors, but these are good cards. I'll be very interested what he ends up deciding here. Okay, he's moving the engine right to the side. Oh, and he's looking at Strix Lookout. Interesting. And he's hovering over Dragon Tamer, which I agree with a decent amount.
Yeah, I think Dragon Tamer is like a solid choice here. Definitely high upside.
After taking that Dazzling Angel early in the pack, I'm surprised he's not looking at Angel of Finality. Um,
Sure.
but if he's pretty confident he's going to be blue, like he's indicated to us by taking the refute, uh, then I do think Strix Lookout's always going to get played. And of course, an Evolving Wild's always going to get played as well. Although I love a Sunblessed Healer, that is a value card. Uh,
For sure.
as
I
well
also
as
think
an Aetherize. Sorry, go ahead.
I think Evolving Wilds is just like such a flexible pick
Right.
in this context.
And Impact 2, I think that's absolutely correct. Interesting to see a Bite Down and a Truffle Snout this late. It feels like everyone noticed the lack of green and has sort of backed off.
Yeah,
Also, that he didn't look at Ruby.
I could see that like even if he goes into red green, he's not looking like crazily aggressive right now.
It's
Like
true. And
like
I
between the Gunner and the I guess that Gunner is good aggressive cards.
and I would have to imagine that like blue green splash red would be a place he would like to end up
For sure.
more than an aggressive red green deck at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so we're about to wheel. We're suddenly down to a lot of picks I'm not that interested in.
Well,
um.
that's the thing about foundations, right? Like
Mhm.
the compared to the other sets in this draft, it's pretty low powered.
Couldn't agree more. I think it becomes very obvious right now that this pack being pack 2 hurts a bit. Of you're not going to get a lot of playables in the back half, whereas towards the end of the draft when we get OTJ and MKM, we're going to see a lot of powerful cards, and it's going to be very hard to be able to fit them in. I think if somebody in the draft is prioritizing fixing, which I know is something Dirk had noted, but he hasn't seen a ton of it, I think that's really going to pay
Really,
off for them late.
yeah. So I feel like a lot of this foundations pack has just been like feeling out for Dirk, like what
Mm-hmm.
color do I want to be in, what's open, what's nice. Um,
Very much agreed. This
so
was
now
sort
he's
of.
picking maybe a third rune shield wall in this draft.
Seems like he's gonna go against the third one, but definitely seems like blue might be open, but it also might just be that these are not cards anyone's really looking to play. It's a
Yeah,
bit hard of a pack to try and gauge the color balance on, but I do think that late bite down says a bit to me.
yeah. I do think that we'll see like a very for Dirk, we'll see like a very polarized green
Mm-hmm.
draft. But I think next pack in Dustmore and Green will be very closed off again, but then probably in Blueborough it will be decently open.
Agreed. Yeah, I think if he wanted to adopt, maybe in one direction take either red and blue, and in the other direction take green, that would work out. But of course, that's something that's very hard to spot in the moment and a bit easier for us to say in hindsight.
Oh yeah, for sure. Um, there are so many more things that you're thinking about when you're in the draft, like considering all the pack, what like synergizing with each other as well, of course.
Agreed. And on
All right,
top of just
Dirk.
normal draft considerations. But now this is what I call a pack.
Yeah. What are you thinking? Oh my god, there's
Ugh,
like five.
there's so many cards I would love to take here. He's hovered over one of my favorites, Drowner. Zealot, very playable. Defiant Survivor, very playable. Branch Snapper, unable to scream. Rotunda, very good in set, probably not as good offset. I think it's hard to go wrong in this pack. What would you lean towards?
I kind of like the pick that Dirk is making, thinking about
Mhm.
with the Zealand. Like it's a defensive card, it splashes like Kugler Grappling. But
Mhm.
I mean, you can't go wrong with a Drowner either. So makes sense. Also makes sense to me that you pick that up. So
Agreed.
probably really looking to blue right now.
Mhm. Yeah, I think either one of those makes a ton of sense.
Ooh.
This is so interesting because there's so many cards here that are fantastic in set of Gremlin Taper, Warring Furnace, that probably just will not translate very well outside their own set. Um,
Oh, interesting. I would expect Roaring Furnace Steaming Sauna to be
I
pretty good
that's
like
true. I'm more mean the like eerie specific things, but I agree. Furnace on Sun's totally good, and it looks like Dirk was also looking at Underwater Tunnel, which I think also plays perfectly good outside its own set. Getting that two
mm,
for one value is always going to look good. He's also considering this green removal spell to go with his bite down. It's a really tough call.
for sure. Does again like there's a decent amount of strong blue cards here.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, only pick two, but I know.
And once
All right.
again, a tough call between a pretty good green card and that 2-drop, a really great blue card and unable to scream. Fixing. There's also Scorching Dragonfire, which I have my eyes on.
I think this is just a clear unable to scream for me
I
personally. Like
personally agree with how heavily blue he's gone. That would be my
yeah,
pick for sure.
like he blue is probably going to be slowest. Like they're probably going to face a ton of strong cards from opponents. Like can't go wrong with unable to scream there. Oh, he goes for
Interesting.
exotic like blue lands.
But what white card is he looking to splash? A Dazzling Angel?
Maybe just like investing in what might come around
It's
in
true.
the attract.
Um, just curious what he thinks his base will be to go with blue at this point. But taking a nice solid blue card there. Pick 5, another Scorching Dragonfire. That's very interesting to me. Only blue card being Don't Make a Sound, which I don't think anyone's super keen on.
No,
Not a
not
ton
really.
else in this pack, I would say. Is there anything else you would be looking at there?
Uh, not really. I don't think.
So do
I
you,
mean, I think the Vampire Survivor is the best card, but it's just like so far from whatever Dirk's doing.
for sure.
Um, if who's to the right of Dirk. If they're playing white aggro, then they'll be very happy to see that.
Yes, so it looks like Dirk. Ooh, another unable to scream.
Oh, this
Also,
mod
twist reality.
does not value unable to scream as an ultimate item.
Agreed. Should be a snap pick. But it is good to see such blue cards coming around. I think him
Yeah,
investing in blue early and like making that clearly his core color. Uh, like I think that's been a very good choice. I'll be interested what his second color ends up being. Currently, it's looking like it might be red, and then perhaps splashing white and or green. Um, but obviously subject to change. But I think this heavy investment in blue has worked out so far.
for sure. Honestly, if I were Dirk, I might want to take the land here probably. If you're still like looking for what your second and maybe third color is, then um, picking up the cornfield isn't bad. And now he does have, well, if he adds some plates to his deck, he has one, two, three, four white sources he can play. So any really good white blue or white green card might be might be up there.
Agreed. I think he's really setting himself up nicely to splash some really powerful cards. Just the single Rex and then any powerful white cards he sees, which I think
Yeah,
is going to work very well for him.
yeah,
Once again, we're getting to the back half of the packs and we're starting to see a lot less cards I'm excited about.
definitely. I might just take the keeper here, but placing also possible.
Because I don't hate taking something you just don't really want to see from your opponent as well at this point in a pack.
Yeah,
I might have taken the doll there, but I love a rotunda. I'm never gonna criticize someone for taking it.
for sure. Alright, taking a Gauntlet tamer, like maybe in white
Oh,
because of the base color, he has a decent amount of tolerance, so then it could work in that
I
case.
certainly don't hate it, especially with the like white fixing option. Like you can just see if you happen to open a lot of enchantments, you could lean into that. Like there's nothing else in this pack I'm excited about, so you may as well spec on it.
Sure. So right now, it's looking like kind of a control-y blue-red deck, probably
Mhm.
splashing the more, maybe some other things. He still has the Angel and the Rotunda in his pile, as well as Plaything. Um, so maybe he's also thinking about going Jeskai or White Blue.
Yeah, I think he's keeping his option open on what goes with his blue, which I think is a very fair thing to be doing at this point. I don't think he's going to be short on playables whichever way he ends up, so probably just hoping that
Definitely.
pack 4 gives him a clear direction.
Notably, seems to have like given up on green as a base color, like to buy down and move to the sideboard. So
Mm-hmm.
it's definitely something going to be talking about. Yes, sky space for Dirk.
Agreed. I think he will try and get that Rex splash in there if he can, but otherwise, he is fine to let everyone else fight over the green.
Makes
Let's
sense.
see
All
what pack
right.
four's got.
Well,
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 there's a reason to be green.
yeah, it might have to eat your words there now for a little bit.
Indeed, indeed.
He's not gathering,
At
so
the
five,
at the
four
very
choices
least,
above.
I'm not seeing anything else in this pack in his colors that I think he's gonna be sad to miss out on. So whether this gets played in the deck or not, I think taking it out of the draft is not a bad decision.
For sure.
It does appear we're immediately giving up on white in favor of it, though.
I mean, I don't hate that.
I
Just
think
think
that's
about like
very fair.
there's
Sorry.
there's too much white for Dirk to begin with.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah, I think he just saw some of those lands and was down to be open for it, but if the draft tells him you want some green, I don't think he's gonna argue.
no, and that's one of the advantages of being this flexible, right? Because now it's back four, um, and he opens very very good green card, well, that's great for him. But if he had opened card in basically card in basically any color, it would have been good for him.
Mm-hmm. Ooh.
I love this pick.
That Splash Lasher is such a siren song for me, but I do think having opened this double green card, it has to be Haven.
Yeah. The bodyguard probably also pretty good there, but like he is looking to be like a very mana intensive deck. Like having an Uncharted Haven in there is just what the doctor ordered, really.
There's also a 3 tree mask on this pack. I think the Haven's certainly better, but it's a type of card that you will want to be looking at in the back half of this draft, I feel like, if you're Dirk.
For sure. Okay, in this pack, I'm looking at the tree drop sentries,
Mm-hmm.
especially like the defensive body. Alania is also interesting. He does have a very good sorcery to copy in Season of Gathering, but it is just like a 3/5 body with no ETB.
Yeah, it's a bit of a tough sell for 5, but I think if you have good spells obviously letting your opponent draw a card to get to double Season of Gathering uh, would not look bad. And I don't think there's anything else in here in his core colors that I'm eager to have. I am noting this Nocturnal Hunger. I think there's somebody out there who has a lot of good black removal. Um,
Yeah.
but
Oh, and
oh,
here Dirk put the take out stress, which is pretty looking pretty good for him. Um,
I could not be happier to see it, and he clicked on it as fast as I would hope. He's debating Dazzling Denial, but I think outside of set, it's very much like the one from the
right.
previous pack we saw of just pay 2, which I'm not super excited about, especially compared to a good red damage
Yeah.
spell.
All right. So it looks like Dirk was considering green as base color again a little bit, but have decided no, no, just blue red is what I'm going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And here we have a choice between probably a Bellowing Crier or a Lily Pad Felix if he has the type for it.
Agreed. I have to imagine it's just a 2 drop. He could also play this guard mouse, but not very exciting at all.
No, I don't love it. I think if you need a tutor up like Crier, it's totally fine. It's Muchu, it blocks against aggro, it's relevant late against control. I think it's a totally solid card for Megadraft like this.
Agreed. I think this deck wants to go long. It wants to just have more mana sinks and more value than your opponent, and so a 2 drop that can trade with their 2 drop to make sure you don't die is always welcome.
Sure.
I also think these rune sealed walls are going to work really well in that game plan. And that 0/8
Yeah,
he took early. That was something that I never really looked at much in set, but when you pointed it out, it really made a ton of sense to me for this deck.
right. So might be looking at the thought sugar here or this temperature.
Oh, an Intrepid Rabbit this late is very interesting to me. No
Yeah,
one 5 seats in front of him is white aggro, or, had something better.
yeah. And I mean the other way around, like in the last pack, we saw the Veterans 5 are going quite late as well. So I'm betting we'll see like one really good white aggro deck at this
Mm hmm.
table.
Agreed.
But here it Dirk just decides to hate the rabbit, which I think I agree with.
Yeah, I think I'm not excited about any of these cards, and I would be very sad to see that across the table. Ooh, an Agate Assault still around.
Alright, I don't mind that.
He's
Light
currently
Shell Duo, that's also not bad. Um,
certainly in this kind of deck. I think Light Shell Duo fits really nicely. I'm seeing 4 great red and blue cards, or like perfectly playable red and blue cards, which I think is a great sign for where Dirk's draft has ended up.
I think I would have gone with Light Shell Duo. This have a 4, but like either's totally fine. Now he's looking at the Stormcat Mentor as a red blue uncommon, but not putting it in the main deck for now. And we're back to the wheel.
It's definitely a card I had not seen much in set. Um, and I would be very interested to see how it plays outside of set.
Hmm.
Seems to be thinking to hate draft this red black gold card. I know we also saw the other really good red black 2/3 from Aether Drift that had been going
Yeah, that.
around. So
Oh, and the 3-3 mascot wheel. That's I
wow,
think like thing for Dirk also suggests to me that maybe there's not like a really great multicolor split specie thing at the table, which might could mean potentially that some strong cards could go Dirk's way in the OTJ pack. But I mean, this still has to be open and they have to be not hated. So uh, we'll have to see.
that is a really interesting note. Of there are clearly multiple green drafters at this table, but if none of them are doing particularly multicolor stuff, that does bode well for Dirk, who has set himself up to. And wheeling that mascot was huge for his deck, in my opinion.
Yeah, for sure. And I will say that although Dirk's mana right now doesn't look very exciting with just like the Evolving Loss and Uncharted and the mascots, he does have like a ton of late game to hopefully make that better. So now Dirk's looking at a Fel the Mighty. There's also a green blue duo in here, which I'd be very interested in if I were him. What do you think?
So we're finally at the infamous pack, our OTJ pack. And Dirk has opened a powerful card. I am curious. He does have some white lands, so like this is not an insane pickup at all. And in the situation
This
you want this, it is fantastic.
for sure. And this is what I was saying in the Discord pack. Like if he opens good five card
Mm-hmm.
later, right now he has five sources for it.
Right.
Plus,
And
we can
plus that
see it.
mascot.
The review over there, the season from Bloomborough is Eternal Spell. So we could
That would be
potentially
good.
take a review 5 times. So I know it might very well wheel. I would love to if we get to see that.
I would love for him to
Uh,
notice and snag that on the wheel for sure.
yeah. Oh, and here he picks up a repulse. There's also Explosive Derailment, Lone Shark in here, Visage, Bandit. Personally, I might try and get the derailment and just bank on one of the blue cards wheeling, but um, not really a wrong choice here, I don't think. What do you think?
Yeah, I know a lot of people really value the repulse. I think in blue it's one of the better cards. I think I personally love derailment as instant speed removal and also artifact removal. I think across these sets you will see a decent number of important artifacts, and he does not have a ton of ways to deal with those right now. Um,
Yeah, definitely between Aether Drift and MKM, there are
mm-hmm.
some artifacts in there that really matter to get rid of.
Right. And
But
so,
at the
and
same,
he doesn't have a ton of removal right now, so like temporary tempo that you would get off Repulse, I think is not necessarily what his deck is going for.
that makes sense. Plus the derailment also works with Vico when that gets back, so that's the other thing.
So true. I'm so hopeful Dirk realizes when it comes around. And I'm sure he's very excited to see this duel for his colors. Obviously, it doesn't have with the splash, but making your mana more consistent always helps.
Yeah, it really, really what you wanted here. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Dirk's deck is like coming together like decently nicely, but his mana is still like it's just risky.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that he can pick up that helps with that will be very much appreciated.
I
I think
especially
if
think.
I were
Oh, go ahead.
if I were Dirk, I would might play the Ticket Tortoise on the draw, just to
Yes.
generate treasure for mana fixing.
Mm-hmm. Completely agree. And I think it is nice that he has a decent number of playables at this point, so anytime he sees fixing going forward, he can prioritize it like he is right now.
Yes, sure. This will make the Feldemighty a no-brainer to play. That's great for him.
And I think if he ever resolves this season of gathering, his opponents are going to be dumbstruck. And
Definitely.
they will never see the cycle on the Rex coming. Ooh, Mine Raider's a nice one to see, speaking of treasure tokens. Although, I
Oh,
guess I don't know how
and
many outlaws you're gonna have. Your three tree mascot is at least a changeling.
yeah, makes sense. Lots off is like pretty good card here. I might hate it. But he goes for a speculative red black land.
There's
Um,
also
maybe
Mourner's Surprise, which is a card I always hate to see my opponent play.
that is sort of good point. Um, but I bet now we'll see Dirk opening Izoni in the next pack and be very happy that he took the red black land.
It would only be fitting, considering who we have on commentary today.
You're so tempted. Okay, so now
Ooh.
there's a couple things there, but I would love a canyon crab in this deck.
This is such an interesting choice because obviously there's a great land for him. Journey to Nowhere looks great, but again would be another splash card. High Robbery is fine, but I agree Canyon Crab is like the ideal creature in his deck. I think taking the fixing is always good, but if he was looking for a couple more playables, that crab, like, this is the deck for it.
Oh, canyon crab is fixing.
Oh,
Wow,
good
an
point.
8 for bronze.
Oh, wow. He was so right to take the red first. We knew.
And this is not even real. This is pick 8.
Yeah. Uh. Oh, this isn't even that pack. That's so interesting. There might be a second one coming right now, actually. That's a good point. Dirk seems to be just as confused as us as to how he found a color that's so open that he could get an eighth pick Repulse or an eighth pick Desert Stew. Although Desert Stew looks a lot worse outside of its own set.
I mean, I think Dirk has like 5 deserts right now or something like that.
It's true.
Something
But
crazy.
most of the other players who are in black probably don't have as many and could have picked up like Stab in earlier packs.
For sure. I do also think like this deck would love a Bandit Hall. Um,
Couldn't agree
Not
more.
out
I
that
was
long.
looking pretty heavily at it.
Yeah.
Interesting he picked up this demonic ruckus. Oh no!
Oh,
The Riku, it's right there.
Dirk, no, no, Dirk.
He's gonna get a kick out of it when he watches this back and realize he has two whole
Oh
cards to trigger
no,
it.
oh, oh, Dirk. Oh, you're being so sad. Oh, look, one of the blue cards wheels.
We take those.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think
low shark, like totally good card.
plenty playable. Um, and I think uh, take prioritizing those red cards first so that he could get all these blue cards late. Uh, has really paid off since he noticed in previous packs just how open blue seemed to be.
Yeah,
He he is typing here
blue
to us
black.
that black seems to have been quite open, especially blue black, but there was nothing exciting pulling him into black before now,
No,
which I think is a very
definitely
fair
not.
assessment.
Right, he's rare drafting the high noon here, I think.
That's 20 gems.
Mm.
Interesting thinking of going for one of these aggressive red cards, even though I think a lot of his blue is very, very defensive. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's nice to see like some red cards in your pool. I last pick, but
it's
uh,
also a good thing to note of you could have a very aggressive white deck uh, at this point,
oh,
and so you don't want these sort of board pumps to go to somebody for free.
yeah,
All right, pack 6, MKM. Look who it is.
it's our
It's our
big
boy.
bad Ezrin.
So, the question is Dirk going to attempt to splash a double white card and a double green card?
Well, it's just, if control bomb trial, well, let's go is anything to go by. I think it will.
I,
I
I
do think that in a deck with this bad mana as that this is going to look like, having the surveilling walls will help a bit to
True.
like dig towards splash
Mm-hmm.
sources.
I think what if I had another mascot, I would feel a bit better too. But
Well, speaking
oh,
of control bombs,
yeah,
they got the
really.
one out. I
Ca-
mean, Gadget Technician is not bad, but Case is just like Case carried me to my to
I know. I
Megadraft
have
again.
such war flashbacks looking at Case of the Locked Hot House. That card wrecked in League.
Like you were going to say such warm feelings because I did not.
Nope, I lost to that card way too many times. Because it was perfectly good in draft, but you could get under it for most draft games that are quick enough. But in League, if somebody gets that down on 4, it's over.
I mean, Gairdray can show up like totally fine picks.
My thinking is that Gear Drake probably has a good chance of coming back.
Yeah, for sure. Especially in like a stacked pack like this
Mm-hmm.
in the arguing time. There's like even another red blue multicolor card. So
Like
one of these will definitely come back.
I agree with him that I don't think Shock is coming back.
Oh,
Oh, and there he
Dirk,
is, quoting me right
Dirk.
there. Gear Drake wheels.
Yeah. Oh, this I love. With two of the if you like place those surveilling walls, then
Mm.
having the forensic researcher will just like
Oh my gosh.
be able to like tap all the time.
Wow, that is a combo. I think that's definitely a card that not a lot of people looked at in this set. It just got outshone by how powerful of a set it was. And I think that's definitely something that's really easy to do in a mega draft like this, where it's 6 different packs. You sort of have to rely on your previous draft knowledge of drafting these sets. And so your brain will naturally just sort of overlook these cards that you didn't play with very much. I think it's hard to make yourself reread a lot of these. So it's easy to miss stuff like that, but I think that's a really good call out. Um,
Yeah, yeah, just going with the crocodiles, right?
mm-hmm. Now, see, connecting the dots, that's a card that got me to top bait.
Oh,
I got, I guess it was in Duskmorn. I got there was 74 card red white aggro. Big shout out to connecting the dots.
this is like I love like how for this commentary team, actually I'm loving cards like so close to our general play style.
So true.
So Dirk is going for the tormenting voice variant, the Mount Answers.
And he had, oh, Codebreaker this late.
Oh,
And I
that's good
know
here.
there was a different hybrid robbery was one he was looking at previously that I think is just a different variant. But he picked something better over it, so I'm happy he got some version of this effect that he wanted.
Yeah, and I mean it's very good to like either like discard your like dig towards your splash sources or discard not for the cards you don't. Oh my god, a Volt Strider. That's very interesting. Also, Case of Failed
Interesting.
Spell.
What does this
I guess
do?
not that good in Megadraft.
Oh, interesting. He is a late game value deck, and he has a lot of good burn spells and things like that that Volstrider could snag him.
Yeah, I do kind of like the Volt Strider for this deck.
And like he'll have plenty of
Bystander,
things to crew too.
yeah,
I
Bystander
good.
fine, but like pretty unexciting in my opinion. Like Volt Strider is higher upside, especially against control matchups, but I don't blame Dirk for taking the 2-drop carry here.
Agreed. I think he has plenty of decent 2 drops so far. That I think he would have been fine without it, but I understand leaning on it heavier than this rare that not many people have played with.
Yeah,
But the couple of times I've seen it go off, I think it would look really good in this deck. Although he has a lot of walls that would not be able to crew it very well and things like that, and he doesn't have a ton of high cost things. I think if it got really late game, I could see it really popping off.
what do we think about Relive the Past in this deck? Does he have enough artifacts and enchantment? Probably not. So I'm gonna live in Conundrum.
That's
which
an
it
interesting
works on
pick.
the card.
I have to imagine Hotshot Investigators is where I would be leaning.
Yeah, me too. That's the highest likelihood to make her deck, and seems like Dirk thinks the same.
He's thinking about it. I would definitely look at Relive the Past, but I don't think this deck was really built for it. I am a bit surprised he went for the Living Conundrum over the Hot Shot, but I don't know that either was gonna make or break this deck by any means.
Alright, and it looks like he picks up a sudden setback here of the Fairy Snoop, um, which
Th-
I think is probably totally fine.
yeah, I think it looks plenty good to go with this trip up and everything like that.
Yeah, Fairy Snoop does have like could be a decent sideboard card. Oh, I don't hate that either.
Mhm, mhm.
The bystander. All right, next pack will be the Gear Drake pack. So we'll see if it wheels.
I'm very excited to find out. I will be very interested how Dirk ends up building this deck, what the splashes look like, if he ends up playing the walls versus a more aggressive curve now that he has all of these 2 drops, and sort of tempo game plan ability. Um, I'll just be very curious. There's our
Oh, a
boy!
Gauntlet.
That's nice. Not an insane card, but a 2-mana 2/2 flyer that draws you a card eventually. Can't complain.
Yeah. Um, I mean, not an insane card, but like, for like, rarely you'll get a better card than big. So I'd be very
Couldn't
happy
agree
with it.
more. Yes, the very strategic wheel. There's not much more satisfying in draft than that.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Well, it looks like we're picking up the last card of the draft. We will call the video here, and we'll be back in just a couple of minutes to review the draft logs and see where everybody ends up.
Yeah, alright. Excited to see it. See you in a bit.
Mm-hmm.